I'm going to show you how I do my meal planning for the entire week in about 5 minutes. This is using the service CookSmarts. This is the iPhone app, which is new. I'm more used to using their website. You can use their mobile website, or you can do this on your computer or tablet. What you're going to do is you start with any week. So like I'm not going to mess up my current week. So we'll just go to a past week. It doesn't matter if you don't like all the recipes in an individual week. I'll show you why. So like we could start with this one. So they're going to give you 4 recipes to start with. So there's one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you don't really have to make them in this order or on these days. You don't have to do 4. You could do 3. You could do 5. And it doesn't have to be these recipes. So for every recipe, they have original, there's a gluten-free version, a paleo, or a vegetarian. Sometimes I'll use the vegetarian, like if I don't like the protein. So like, for example, this one, if I didn't feel like making fish, like maybe don't have a good source of white fish, I could just change this to vegetarian. Another thing that's useful is you can have this kind of default size, like we have a family of 4, but if I was making something like pot stickers that freeze well, I might set those to 8, and then you would just automatically get a double batch. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna remove this one. I don't feel like making this, and you can always add it back in. Okay, so now I'm down to 3 meals. So next we've got this salad, and for this one, like I would possibly add like some bread for my kids, because they're not going to fill up on a ton of salad. They probably need more of the protein out of this one, but it's fine. Sausage stroganoff, that sounds good. And then breakfast rellenos, that sounds good. So we can leave all those, and then since I dropped one, I would probably go in and add one. So when you add a meal, you can search by ingredient. Like if say you've got some extra ground beef, you could just search for ground beef. And then they're going to populate down here. So like they have this deconstructed shepherd's pie, mushroom, Asian beef, and mushroom bolognese. Let's do that. The other thing you can do that I often do for the add a meal is I've favorited some of these meals. So you can choose ones you've favorited, or you can search all kinds of other things. The other thing I'll say in general when you're doing meal planning in here is they have a huge number of recipes. So like if you just like tacos, for example, and you just want to make tacos one night, you could just search for tacos and like add their taco recipe and then kind of just make it the way you like it. But their grocery list will probably be pretty close to what you want for tacos. You can look at how they do their recipe and maybe add some custom ingredients. So now that I've got my basic meal plan for the week, we'll start to see like some of the benefits. One other thing I want to note about the meal plans is some of these have dependencies. So none of these recipes have dependencies, but it's actually a nice thing is some of the weeks they'll have one recipe where maybe you're braising something, and then the next day you use that again. So it's like your protein might be used across 2 recipes. I don't have any like that, but they will mark when they use dependencies. And you just want to, if you're adding recipes in, you kind of want to note that, like, you may not have the one that it was dependent on. Okay, so I've got my 4 recipes. So what you kind of get for free with this now is you have this grocery list. And so you would really quickly go through and just mark off everything you already have. Like you probably have brown sugar and flour and honey and sugar. I have stock. I've got crushed tomatoes. Cheddar cheese I've got Parmesan. Eggs I do have, but since this is going to use 8, I'm probably going to want more. I've got white wine. And then sauces, I'm going to have most of these. A lot of the recipes at CookSmarts use kind of like repeated ingredients. Like you're going to build up a pantry just by making their recipes. Produce, you're going to be buying a lot of produce with these seasonings. I don't buy Italian seasoning, but I'll just use oregano, something like that. Paprika. Yeah, I've got all those. Cool. So rice I don't need. Penne pasta I don't need. And then I also take off meats if I have them in the freezer. Like I have ground beef already. You have to kind of remember to defrost those things. So I usually do that kind of like right after I do this or when I go to the grocery store. Okay, so now I've got my grocery list. The other thing that's pretty useful is we keep our other groceries on Alexa. So then I would go in and just add any other groceries I had that don't appear here, like things for the kids' lunches or breakfasts, or and you can categorize them so they'll pop up along with your other list. And then I just bring this, like my phone, to the store and check them off. That way, you can also print these. You can print them or email them. Just like if you had someone else that was picking up groceries, you could email them. And that's it. Like your meal planning for the week is done. That's why I really like CookSmarts. The next thing that you can use as a time saver, which I sometimes do, is this prep step. So they have what they call weekend prep, and you wouldn't necessarily have to do this on the weekend. Like you could do this the first night. Most of these recipes take like 30 minutes if you're going fast, or an hour. Some of the recipes do take a little longer, so you might need an hour. Depends on how fast you cook and like how much cleaning you're doing as you cook. But you can prep things. So they're going to list all the prep you can do for the week to kind of save yourself time. And it tells you like that this is for the Tuesday one if you did actually follow that. So this can be a good time saver. And then when you get to the actual making of the meals, of course, there's prep on the recipes themselves. So like this one, you might want to just maybe the night before kind of take a look at what the prep is. Not that you would need to do it the night before, but like, if there's something that you're going to marinate for 2 hours in this example, like you might want to plan ahead for that. Like a vinaigrette, you can probably make while you're doing the recipe. And that's it. Like you're pretty much done. Like I said, just got to remember to defrost whatever proteins you need, and obviously run to the grocery store and buy the grocery items. But other than that, your meal plan for the week.